Holly.
All right, so good morning, everyone, and thank you for attending our dinCloud webinar today. We are going to have a great presentation for you on simplifying cloud deployment for storage servers and desktops. So we have three key people with us today: Garrett Grajek, Mike Chase, and David Graffia of dinCloud. And you'll have the chance to have a live Q&A with them today. You can enter your questions in the questions box on the right-hand side, and we'll relay that to them at the end of the presentation today. You can also send questions to sales@dincloud.com if you want a longer and more detailed response. We're also recording this webinar today, so you'll be able to find that on YouTube by the end of this week. Moving on to a quick agenda, we're going to go over the current dilemma of moving to the cloud, how and why. Also give a brief overview of dinCloud and DigManage 5.0, the cloud orchestration tool. And then we're going to move into a quick demo as well as a summary on how to move to dinCloud, following with a live Q&A. So to kick things off today, I'm going to move this over to David Graffia, our VP of Sales for dinCloud.
Hey, thanks, Holly, and good afternoon, everyone. So what I wanted to point out here was some of the challenges and some of the dilemmas that organizations are faced with as they try to move to the cloud. And what I've seen specifically is that there's been 4 things that are prevalent, whether you're an enterprise customer or you're an SMB type client. And that is simply this. Number 1, firms are looking to conserve capital. They're looking to remove things from their balance sheet and have it hit an expense account as often as possible, right? That's number 1. Number 2, which I believe is a direct result of number 1, is really they've really deferred their refresh rates of their endpoints. So their laptops and desktops, which used to enjoy a 3- and 4-year refresh cycle, have now moved to a 6, 7, 8 years and beyond. In fact, many firms are still running Windows XP in their current environments. Number 3, they have limited IT resources to go ahead and build this out on their own, and so they struggle with trying to design and implement this on their own. And then 4th and finally, it seems that all of these firms they have a real thirst or desire to have a bring your own device type strategy. And what we're going to walk through today, as it relates to our offering, solves for all 4 of those things, and it provides a business continuity disaster recovery plan that's inherent. So there's really 3 routes to get to a desktop as a service or even a VDI deployment. And your 3 options are, number 1, you can build it from scratch. Number 2, you can leverage a platform as a service. Or 3rd and finally, you can go with a turnkey type service, which is what we're here to talk about today. So next slide, please. So if you're going to try to build this from scratch, just keep in mind that you're going to have to do all of your own internal R&D. This is a very capital intensive, so you're going to have to spend, you're going to invest a lot of money, and as a result of that, your total cost of ownership is the highest when you try to build this from scratch. And also, you don't really know what the result is going to be after the fact. Regarding a platform as a service, it really has a lot of gaps that need to be bridged, right? So it's incomplete from an R&D perspective. You have both capital expenditures as well as operational expenditures, which also has a very high total cost of ownership when it's all said and done. And then finally, with a turnkey offering like dinCloud provides, you have a very quick time to market where we've automated the provisioning process. We help clients solve for some of the traditional challenges that they're faced with surrounding the desktop deployments, around image, config, asset tagging, the on-site installation, the data migration, the maintenance and support. All of those efforts that need to be solved for are now turnkey and can be done in an automated fashion. So there's no capital investment whatsoever, and this is the lowest total cost of ownership of the 3 models that we're here to talk about. Next slide, please. So if you're going to decide to build this from scratch, I want to point out a couple of things, just because we're going to show you how we've automated all of these different areas. But from an application perspective, you're going to have to buy the infrastructure. You're going to have to stand up the environment and manage it. The endpoint devices have to also be taken into consideration. All of the virtualization, all of the hypervisor and connection broker software needs to be solved for. The infrastructure, right? So the power, the cooling, the load balancers, all the internal networking and componentry needed to stand up the environment needs to happen. And then, of course, you have to implement, you have to analyze and design and build this infrastructure, and then finally, you have to maintain it, with things like patching and ensuring that everything stays secure, not just secure when you stand it up and extend it, but that it stays secure. And then finally, of course, the backup costs associated with this. So there's a lot to building it from scratch, whereas with our offering, you can basically pay as you consume. Next slide. And so, what I wanted to do was give you guys a real quick example of how we've been able to automate the ordering process, the orchestration of the resources, the management of the console itself and the environments, and lastly the billing piece of it. And so with that in mind, I'm going to hand it over to Garrett Grajek, who's our Chief Security Officer, and he can take it to the next step. Garrett?
Greetings. Thanks a lot there, David. Yeah, what is dinCloud? dinCloud is the company that has addressed the three concerns of the cloud. How do I, and let's be blunt, how do I quickly purchase these, deploy, and manage? I wrote a blog the other week that got some people talking and said, America's hiring. Great. Okay, how do we not only staff, but how do we get the resources into our environment that can meet the new opportunities? And that's exactly what we have designed here at dinCloud. We have designed a system that connects to your existing infrastructure securely. And it is secure. That's something we're going to go in details in not only my section here, but also we have Mark Gerke, a cloud specialist, go through in a demo. What we have done is creating a system that allows our storage, our servers, our desktops to be connected to your enterprise. So you can go and do something fun, like go hire 200 employees in a month, or go staff another 1,000 desktops in a week or so. That's exactly what we do. And securely store all the information and add the servers. It's called Dedicated Virtual Private Clouds, and dinCloud has perfected it better than anyone else. And how have we perfected it? We perfected it by writing our own cloud orchestration tool. Let me repeat that. We perfect deploying to the cloud by writing our own cloud orchestration tool, calling it DinManage 5.0. And from one console, that's what we're going to be demoing, you can manage your cloud storage, your servers, your desktop, your security. What is your VPN connection? What is your IP address? What's your internal? What's your external? And your support. Okay? So let's kind of break these out before we do the demo. So storage, right out. Let's get your block storage up to us. We support the S3 format, and we support Veeam as well. We can get all your backups up to us, and then we can get back to you through our high-speed internet connection back to your environment, or restore them on our own servers. That's what's unique about our solution. Completely configurable and completely integrated into your current environment. It's as if they're next door to you. Servers, right? How are we going to get, we got to go add, and this is the calls around all the time with the team. We've got to add 100 servers in this week. Okay, how are we going to do that? That's because we have it all built out. We've got the Windows 2012, the Windows 2008, Ubuntu, Debian, CentOS, and what's really cool, as you see in our demo, is we can then configure these as you need. How much RAM do you need? How many CPUs do you need? How much disk do you need? You see, nice sliding scales allows you to manage this. Okay? What's awesome about us and unique is that not only do we have the storage, not only do we have servers, but we have your users' desktops. Just as a great press release this week, we took our desktops that we already have built out, and we've written our own, and we support other platforms as well, and we already have it. When it's unique, is accessible from any thin client in the world from Chrome. That is, any device that supports a Chrome browser can run our desktops. Pretty powerful. To augment that, we rewrote the code and ported it natively over to Android. So Android, then any device, a phone or a tablet, etc., can run, and your users can see their Windows desktop. Very powerful, especially when combined with the others. Lastly, in what day in the news can we not see that that people are attacking the cloud, but not our cloud? Because we thought about security first. As Mike who will be talking to you later, the founder and the creator of dinCloud's technology, will address to everyone, is that dinCloud security is part of our DNA. And what we've done here, that's why I put that first slide with the virtual private cloud. We connected that to your enterprise, and we've done very, very important security measures here. We have connected it via virtual firewalls, routers, and VPNs that connects it and makes it look like to your enterprise that it's an internal. And that's how people use this. Our servers, our desktops have an intranet identity in your environment. That is, we give them, the 10.*192.68 internet addressing. All of that is configurable through the console. So you can order your storage, your servers, your desktop, and manage all your security and your IP addresses right here, and your firewall right through our console. Okay, Mark, why don't you take it away and show people what we built for them.
Thank you, Garrett. Hello, everyone. My name is Mark Gerke. I'm a Cloud Solutions Specialist. Appreciate everyone's time. Can you see my screen, Garrett? I haven't got a notification here, a screen share.
No. Well, I'll make you change presenter.
Okay.
There you go. And just show your screen, please.
Okay. So when you can see my screen.
Yes. Now we see your screen.
Okay, folks, again, welcome everyone. Thanks for your time. So what we're looking at here is where you log into our DinManage portal, which is our cloud management and orchestration tool. So it's basically at shop.dinmanage.com. So step one is you sign up for an account, so anybody can go ahead and sign up. Then after that, you go ahead and you sign in, you log in. It's a two-factor login process. So there's a username and password from the database that we store.
And we had some fun there, right, Mark? Because we care about security. We have made two-factor mandatory across all the environments. Why would we do that? Because the cloud, you're only as good as your neighbor, and the clouds that are not providing, do not make mandatory two-factor across all of those, are putting their neighbors at risk. And we care about security, so that's why we mandate two-factor for all admin.
So once you go through the two-factor authentication process, you're then going to go to your dashboard. So let me go ahead and show you what that looks like. So here's the DinManage dashboard. So from here you can get a snapshot of your environment. You can see your hosted virtual desktops. We've got our DIN HVD, which is our standard HVD, and our web HVD. So it kind of shows you what the breakout there is. It shows your servers broken up by Windows and Linux. The security settings, which will drill down on, so where you set your network, your firewall, and your VPN rules. Here's some basic machine stats. My storage is where that's our D3, our S3 compatible cloud storage platform for off-site backup and replication, and BCDR. And then here's where my tickets, you give you any open trouble tickets. Then we've got a repository where we have a number of documents that are handy as far as user manuals, technical assistance guides, etc. So a location to store your documents. And then from here, you got a number of functions available to you through the portal. Obviously, you can place orders, which I'll show you that in a moment. You can view your order history. You can get reporting as far as billing reporting. We're going to be adding utilization reports in the next release, or in a future release. My profile is where you add additional users. So as you register for the admin user, then you can add additional users. Channel partners is for our channel partners, and support is review your support tickets in real time or issue new support tickets. So let me go ahead and show you how easy it is to actually place an order, spin up a server and a desktop. So go to place orders. Then from here, you can have the option to spin up a Windows server, a virtual desktop, a Linux server, or my library. What most enterprise customers are doing is they have their own images. They have their own desktop images or their own server images. We make those. We get those images. Mike will talk more about that in the migration process. But we make those images available to you in the My Library. So when you go spin up resources, you're spinning them up from your existing images. Or you can start with a base image. It's entirely up to you. And then our D3 storage is where you provision a new cloud storage account, our D3 storage. So again, just to kind of show you the process, how easy it is to spin up a Windows server, I'll go ahead and click on Windows servers. And here, this is the base template. Again, as I mentioned, most customers would have their own images here. But if you just want to see what it looks like to spin up an R2 2008 server, let's go configure and buy. And what's nice, very clean interface. You can always get details on what's included, so you know what you're getting. The base configuration is 1 gig of memory, 1 CPU, 80 gigs of drive space, 24/7 service. So that's the base configuration. You can choose the data center. We host out of Equinix Tier 3 plus Tier 4 data centers. You can choose Chicago, which would be central, or LA, which would be our west location. We'll be adding additional locations in 2015, but today we're in Chicago and LA. And then you can change the resources on the fly if you want to add more RAM, or you want to add more CPU, or you want to add more disk. It's a slider bar, so it's very easy to do. The price changes accordingly, as you can see. If you want to change the quantity, you can go ahead and do that. The price will update accordingly. Then it's your shopping cart experience. You just add to cart. And once you add cart, you can either continue to check out. Once you check out, that's where you would enter the admin password. So we don't even have access to that admin password. That's when you assign the admin password to that server. And then you get a welcome email, and you'll be able to view and manage that server in your portal, which I'll show you in a moment. So that's how easy it is to spin up a server. Desktops are just as easy. So go to Hosted Virtual Desktops. And again, you would typically have your own templates here, but if you want to send one up from our base template, you'd go to Configure and Buy. And again, you can view on details, see everything that's included. As you can see, base configuration is 3 gigs of memory, 2 CPU cores, and 60 gigs of drive space. We include a lot of other security features and capabilities, auto provisioning, deprovisioning, etc., which I'm showing you now. But again, you get to see what's included with the base configuration. And what we're finding is 99+% of our customers are going with the base configuration. Some of them are upgrading disk, but you do have the option to upgrade RAM, upgrade CPU, upgrade disk, on the fly by user. So again, just choose a data center, choose your configuration, choose your quantity. It's going to update the cart. Add to cart is again your typical shopping cart experience. The users will get a welcome email with a username and password for a database that we store as one layer of authentication. They'll get another welcome email with a URL to click on to create an 8-digit unique PIN, which is a two-factor authentication solution that they'll need to log in. And then the third layer of authentication is an Active Directory server that we stand up is typically replicating with the customer's AD, so the customers are continuing to manage their users in the same way that they're managing it today. So that's how easy it is to spin up servers and desktops. If you want to go ahead and take a look at the environment, so if you go to Home with the dashboard. If I want to look at my hosted virtual desktop environment, I'll just click on My HVDs. Inventory of my virtual desktop is going to have some information at my fingertips as far as machine name, who's it's assigned to, what's the configuration, when was it ordered, what's the status, is it on, is it off, is it pending. I can drill down, get additional information as far as what order ID was it placed under, what template am I running, what's the IP address, what subnet am I on. So you get all the information at your fingertips, and then for self-management capabilities, you have a number of actions available to you. So you can remote console or VNC to that server. You can also RDP to it, so it's entirely up to you. One use case that we see often is if you're off-site and you're behind a firewall and you can't RDP to something, as long as you get to a secure browser, you can always get secure access to your servers that they're being hosted by dinCloud. And we don't have access to this VNC password here as well, so another layer of security. So again, you can remote console, you can power on, power off servers, you can restart servers or desktops, you can upgrade, downgrade resources on the fly. System's smart enough to know what you're paying today, so it's only going to show you the difference. You can change this VNC password on the fly. With our desktops, you have the ability to move them from one subnet to another. We've got very flexible networking capabilities, no restrictions around networking. Then you can deprovision a server, whether it's a server or a desktop. If you deprovision something, two things happen. One, the billing stops. Then number two, it gets put in this My Deprovision tab, and we store it there for 48 hours for free as a convenience to our customers. Maybe you forgot, maybe you made a mistake, or you changed your mind. You've got 48 hours to, to spin that server back up, free of charge as a value add. So that's how you manage your virtual desktops. I know we're short on time here. Anybody wants to have a deep dive, we can certainly schedule another time to do that. But to manage your servers, very similar to managing desktops. So I'll show you that in a moment. So again, you get, what's the machine name, what you can give it a label, what type of server is it, what's the configuration, was it created, etc. Again, you can drill down, get the template, order information, IP and network information. Then you can take, similar actions that you can with as you can with desktops. Really, the only thing you can't do here that you can do with desktops is switch networks. Typically, customers aren't moving servers from one network to another, but they are moving desktops. So all that functions available to you, from the DIN Manage portal. Then the only other capability I kind of want to walk you through is the security piece that Garrett touched on. That is really truly one of our unique differentiators. You can stand up, basically we provide all of our customers a dedicated virtual Brocade Viata firewall, virtual router, firewall, and VPN appliance, so it isolates the traffic. Then you can actually set the rules up yourself from our DIN Managed portal. You do that by going to the My Security tab. So basically, we'll give you a public IP. Basically, you bring your own CIDR. You create your own subnets. So that's the networking piece. That's kind of step one. Then step two is set up the firewall rules. And everything comes locked down. You basically open it up as far as, what source, destination, protocol, port, what subnets it allowed on, et cetera. So you kind of open it up. You set your firewall rules. Again, this is isolated per customer. Then you establish the, set up the VPN to establish the connectivity. We simplified this by creating a wizard. So basically, you give it a VPN name. We've got the source IP. We give it the destination IP on your end. Customer creates their own pre-shared key. We don't know what that is. Then we've created some templates to make the Phase 1 and Phase 2 IC and ESP policy syncing very easy. So if you look at here, we've got some templates here for as far as high, medium, and low. As long as the settings on both sides match, that VPN tunnel will come up. Once the VPN tunnel comes up, you'll be able to see it here established. It'll show you source, destination IP, some additional information. It'll be green that's up and running. So once that happens, you now have the networking set up. You've got your firewall rules in place. You've got your VPN, so we have connectivity. So the next step of the process is we'll typically stand up a Windows server, just like I showed you, and then we convert that to an Active Directory server. We've actually automated that process as well with a wizard. It's another unique differentiator. And I'll kind of show you what that looks like. So we got a couple options here. If we're replicating an existing on-premises AD in a read-only mode, we'll register an existing domain. If we're standing up a standalone AD on our end, we'll create a new domain. And if we're taking a machine and joining that to an existing domain, either hosted on-premise or hosted by us as the primary, we'll join that to an existing domain. So we've automated the entire process. I know we're a little short on time, so it's kind of I'm going to walk everybody through some of the basic functionality. If you want to see a deep dive, please let us know. We're glad to show you. So again, without further ado, Garrett, I'll turn it back over to you.
Yeah, real powerful stuff, and well done, Mark. Like you said, you referenced time and all that. What we really want to do is have the audience come in, and we'll show you how we'll build out a VPC for you. And with making the connections to your enterprise, taking the right storage and servers, and even adding the desktops. And who better to help the audience understand how to migrate to us than Mike Chase, our CTO and technical founder. Greetings, Mike.
Hi there. Thanks, Garrett. So one of the questions we get asked all the time is how do I get there from here? How do I migrate to the cloud? As Mark was showing earlier, you can obviously take a server or take a desktop, install your applications or anything else that you want into it, and then templatize it and use that as a base image and roll out as many other servers and desktops as you like. But how do you move your data, and how do you move a lot of these, physical as well as virtual servers up to the cloud to begin with? So we have 5 ways to migrate to the cloud. The first one is very easy. This works with both physical and virtual servers, and that basically is that you can either take your virtual servers, we don't care what format they're in, they could be in VMware, they could be in Hyper-V, KVM, literally any hypervisor format out there. Copy them to a removable disk, like a 4 terabyte drive you can pick up at your local, store, or you can ship us a network attached storage array, similar to the one on the left where you may have 4 terabyte drives in there, or even 5 terabyte drives in there, and put all those images on there. Ship it to us overnight, for example, on a Friday, and we'll have those loaded within 24 hours. So Saturday they'll all be available. And we can also ship it back to you at any point. So if you want to export out of the cloud for any reason, we can, you may have sent it to us as VMware, and a year later you're running Hyper-V and you want a couple of servers sent back to you, we can do that as well. With your physical servers, you can do a process called P2V. We have a lot of channel partners who are willing to send engineers on site and run software against your physical server to make it into a virtual server, and then essentially send that to us as well. You can snapshot those, you can copy those, put them on the drive, send it to us, and then you'll have a real-time version of the server. Sometimes these are combined with the over-the-wire methods, meaning that sometimes you'll take down the servers, put a copy on the drive, ship it to us, but for some reason you need the server back online immediately, so you're going to continue to run it. In that case, you would take a snapshot of it, send that to us, and then that creates a Delta file of what changed over the last 24 hours, and we can merge that in. So we've got a lot of methods. Veeam is one of the most popular backup software out there in the world that backs up VMware and Hyper-V in particular. It really works with virtual servers. And we support both the Cloud Edition, which has been around for a while within Veeam, and that backs up to our S3 compatible DIN Storage D3 service, which you can create an account very easily, as Mark Gerke showed earlier in your DIN Managed console. And then most recently, within the last month, is Veeam Cloud Connect, which is really optimized for moving data to the cloud. So it does the WAN optimization, it can do encryption, a whole bunch of other features. And basically you're pointing to our cloud as your backup target instead of pointing to one of your local file shares or something like that. So this also becomes a way to synchronize all of your servers to the cloud. And once that's done, you can tell us, hey, I want this server and this server spun up in the cloud. So it gives us a way to instantly migrate those over the wire. The other way is we have a piece of software called Wire Agent. We can put that into a physical server, a virtual server. Doesn't really care where it is. Could be in your on-premise infrastructure. Could be in the Amazon or Azure or Rackspace clouds. It could be anywhere, and it will move it over the wire. We have 1 to 10 gigabit connections in our network. It will move it over the wire, over to dinCloud, and you can spin it up from there. Next slide, Garrett. The two remaining methods are also very easy. Microsoft has a lot of protocols that replicate automatically. So getting a DIN Manage account is free. When you start to spin up resources, those are the things you're going to pay for. Usually the first thing that gets spun up in our cloud is a Windows server. And that triggers your, basically your isolated, encrypted, secure virtual environment protected by your own dedicated virtual firewall. We're one of the few clouds in the world that dedicates all the key security components on a per customer basis. And once you have that first Windows server, you can basically create that VPN tunnel, as Mark Gerke was showing earlier, to connect to your on-site infrastructure and use protocols that are already built into your Windows server. For example, replicating your Active Directory. This is really your first step also to a business continuity disaster recovery approach where you don't want to lose all of your usernames and passwords and logins because they're very important to you. Moving those to the cloud can be replicated very easily. As soon as you have that server up, you can replicate AD over the VPN tunnel, and now you've got a copy that's secure in the cloud if something happens to your office or your data center. The other protocol is DFS, or Distributed File System. So almost everyone has a file server for Microsoft with all their important files on it that all the users in your network, in your office, and sometimes many offices are storing their files on. If you install Microsoft DFS, which is free, on top of the server, you can then use that protocol to replicate all those files up to the cloud and bidirectionally. So you could have virtual desktops in the cloud, physical desktops in your office. You have one file share that is synced in both directions on two different DFS servers, one in the cloud, one in your site, and everybody's happy because they have the fastest local access, whether they're in the cloud or on-premise, to those files. And we have engineers and plenty of channel partners that will help you configure that, and it's very easy to do. The last option is what we call Z-Storage. We use this for a lot of different scenarios, sometimes with customers that are very large. We've actually moved as much as 500,000 gigabytes of data at a time for customers. And this option is kind of nice because let's say that you have a lot of virtual machines. You can't fit them onto network-attached storage or removable drive. It's going to take too long to move them over the wire. Z-Storage is a nice option because with as little as a 6-month commit, we'll put storage in your facility and that same storage up in the cloud. We can provide, VPN connections. We can do MPLS point-to-point circuits, even 1 or 10 gig circuits. And essentially this will replicate everything up to the cloud. So at any given moment, once things are synchronized at both ends, you could have 5 or 6 or 700 servers and essentially say, you know what, I want these 50 to run into the cloud and I don't want them on site anymore. And literally you can spin them up in the cloud, or just as easily you could spin them down in the cloud. They're replicated in both directions. You could then spin them back up in your own environment. It also gives you peace of mind for people who, let's say you're not replicating between multiple data centers at dinCloud, you're only using one, then you could basically use your existing infrastructure as the second backup site. So it gives a lot of options. It also allows you to encrypt everything. All of our storage options are encrypted by default, and it allows you to replicate in both directions. It really is a very low monthly payment with a 6-month minimum commit, but no more than that. And it gives you a lot of flexible options, including with the encryption, you can hold your own keys. So that's another neat feature, as well as how often you want to take snapshots, backups, etc. So just know these are 5 main ways. We have many, many other tools, but getting to the cloud is very easy and very quick, and something we do on a daily basis for customers all over the world. Garrett, I'll go ahead and I guess hand it back off
Perfect,
to you.
Mike. And like Mike says, I mean, he took the time to itemize 5 ways to migrate to the cloud, but we have hundreds of customers, and we can detail a migration plan for you as well. So in summary, what have we done? We have created not only a product, but a process where you can purchase, deploy, and manage your cloud resources in a secure manner and a rapid manner. That's talking about the 10 gigabyte connections to us, okay? In a single offering, DinManage 5.0 offers you a simplified, unified deployment orchestration system to manage all your resources. Holly, let me just push the envelope and say I saw that we had a few questions appear, and why don't you ask the team what those questions were, and at the same time, here's how we can be contacted.
All right. So we'll go ahead and open it up now. If anyone on the line has any more questions, you can go ahead and enter them in the questions box. But our first one is for David. It says, can you white label the DinManage portal?
Absolutely. Yep, we can white label the portal to add your logo to it. We can leverage DNS masking, so it'll have whatever URL you'd like to show up, etc. So the answer is yes.
All right. And our second question goes to Garrett. It says, is the data encrypted in flight and at rest?
Absolutely. The data in flight is encrypted AES 256 across to our tunnel, straight from yours and outbound. So it's encrypted in flight, but it's what's important to all data at rest is encrypted it well. So all your storage or your servers are encrypted by us. Yes.
All right. And our third question is, how do you handle my existing on-premise applications? So that one will be for Mike.
Sure. Again, it's very easy to templatize your servers and your desktop. So typically we make those available to you in the cloud. You install all the applications that you want. We then spin those server and desktop down, create a template out of it, and everything that's from there has those apps in it. We also have ways where you can install, even different versions of Microsoft Office or different versions of applications, tie those to a Windows group, and then have those applications appear or not appear in a particular user's image when they log in, and depending on their group membership in your Active Directory. So a lot of applications can be used in there. I mean, we haven't run into anything that we can't use so far. A lot of tools to do that, and it makes it very easy with the templates.
Great. All right, I'm not seeing any more questions come through right now, so we'll go ahead and wrap it up. If anyone has any more questions after the webinar today, you can also send them to sales@dincloud.com, and they'll make sure to get them answered for you, or reach out to any of our outstanding panelists here. Thank you so much, David Graffia, Mike Chase, Mark Yerke, and Garrett Grayduck for all joining us today. And again, this webinar recording will be available on YouTube. All right. If anyone has anything else to add?
Okay. Thank you, Holly. Thank you, team.
All right.
Bye.
Thank you, everyone. Have a nice day.